Hi friend, let's chat about homeschooling a preschooler. You may have seen my video where I talk about homeschooling with a toddler, and I have all of the activities that we have, the resources that I keep on hand for homeschooling with that little guy around. And this coming school year, my toddler is now going to be a preschooler. And so I've been doing a lot of planning and thinking about what this coming school year will look like for him, and I wanted to take some time to share that with you today. And in fact, I'm planning to take my next few videos and just share with you my thoughts and plans for a second grader, my fourth grader, and then my seventh grader. So let's talk today about preschool. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, then you may recognize a theme. The theme really is the importance of literature and books and the importance of play and just how our bodies are created to need those things, especially at a young age. Our brains, our bodies, like physiologically, intellectually, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, we need play, we need outdoors, we need literature, we need words and stories. So in keeping with that theme, my objectives for my preschooler for the coming school year are to, first of all, have him recognize the 26 letters of the alphabet sounds. So I don't care if he knows their names, I'm teaching him the sounds of the letters of the alphabet. And then I also want to read to him 1,000 books this coming school year. So there's actually a program that I think is called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, which is a just wonderful program promoted by a lot of libraries, especially here in our area. And I have never really kept track of reading a certain number of books for any of my other kids, and I thought it would be a really fun challenge to just take this year and to really just keep track of reading 1,000 books to him this coming year. So that's another objective that I have for him for this coming school year, is to be read to 1,000 books. My next objective is for him to recognize and understand the value of the numbers 0 to 20. He's somewhat familiar with 0 to 10. He's becoming more and more familiar with that, and driving down the road, he's counting his fingers. Mom, I have 10 fingers. So he's becoming more and more aware of that. But we'll be working on the numbers 0 through 20 this coming year. And then also I'm going to be working on shapes. He's very good with all of the colors right now, and so I would like to work on the shapes with him, just recognizing shapes and knowing their names. And then I also want to read his beginner Bible this year with him. So this is something that I have done with each of my older kids, and so I'd really like to do that this coming year, to make sure that we spend that time with him, just giving a chronological look through a children's Bible. So those are my goals for him for this coming school year. And so the resources that I have to help me achieve those goals, I will put a link in the description box below to the things that I can find links to. Some of the resources that I'm going to share with you today may be very old, and I might have a hard time finding links for these things, but I'll link whatever I can in the description box below for your convenience. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you is teaching him to recognize the sounds of the letters. And I'm going to use this flashcard set that I just made a few months ago. And this was incredibly easy to make, super DIY friendly. So I took a Sharpie marker and some index cards, and I just wrote the lowercase letters on with the Sharpie markers, and then I laminated each of the letters and hole punched them, stuck a ring on them, and created my own set for him. And so you can also, I think, find a set similar to this at the dollar store. So it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Over the last several months, he would come up to me whenever the big kids were doing their school and say, Mom, I want to do school. And so this is one of the things that I created so that I could pull these out and we would start learning the letter sounds. So I just flip to a card, point to it, say the sound k, d, and he repeats the sound after me, and he's becoming familiar with what the symbol and the sound mean, how they're connected together. So that's what we're doing. Now, a side note, if you have seen my video where I talk about Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, that is the program that I have used with my older kids for teaching them to read. And again, I go into more detail in that video. So after he gets the letters and the sounds down, I may add some of the Distar orthography for letter combinations. Basically what that means is the Distar orthography is a certain way that you write the letters so that the child can easily recognize this sound is different when letters are written together. So for instance, the TH is connected together in a special way so that when the child sees the TH connected, written in a certain way, they know that the sound is V and not T. And so it just helps them to recognize combinations. So CH, WH, ER, AR, these are all things that are written kind of in a connected special way just to help the child recognize the different sounds that makes when it's connected. So long story short, I may be adding a few more flashcards as we move along this year and he gets more familiar with the symbols and the sounds of the alphabet. So that's the first resource that I have, and no link required. You can simply just make this on your own or run to the nearest dollar store and find something that you can easily use with your preschooler. The next thing that I have that we have also had this current year for him is this set, which is the Handwriting Without Tears Pre-Writing and Language Skills with letter cards. And so it's just this set of letter cards that have the uppercase letters on them, and they come with these wooden shapes. So there's 4 wooden shapes, a long and short rectangle shape, and then a large semicircle, and then a small semicircle. And you can make all of the capital letters with these shapes. And so I just allow him to use the letter cards to match the wooden shapes to, and then we just talk about the different sounds that that shape makes. So fox, fish, fan, and that's how we use these cards. So I don't actually teach him the Handwriting Without Tears program. I just use these materials just as extra reinforcement to help him recognize the capital letters for him. Kind of along those same lines are a couple of other resources that I have. This is a early learning activity book. It is a wipe, clean, dry erase book. And I believe that my sister-in-law gave this to me many moons ago when her kiddos were out of the stages of learning to write and count. And so she passed this along to me, and my kids have, as you can see, have really enjoyed using this. Some of it needs to be erased. We just look at the letters and they can practice copying them and learning words that start with the letters, just different activities. It's a bright, fun, easy, simple way to add the extra practice for recognizing those letters and the letter sounds. So this is something that I will have available for him to use. And then also I pulled out this Fisher-Price Little People, my first ABCs and my first 1, 2, 3s. I think this set was also given to me by my sister-in-law when her kiddos had outgrown it. And so this is just cards, the dry erase cards for the letters here, and then also dry erase cards for the numbers, which we will also be using this coming school year. So, 1, 2, 3, so 3 tractors. Here's an instance of 3 tractors, and then on the back it also has the 3 tractors. So these are wonderful cards. I actually found some dry erase crayons that I love for them to use with these flashcards. So I will make sure that I pull those out. In fact, I think a lot of them have gotten lost over the last couple years. So since my older son use them. So I may order some new dry erase crayons, but this is also a wonderful resource that I have used in the past with my older kids, and they've loved, and I'm planning to use again for my preschooler. Next, I have a couple of things as far as teaching him shapes. So now this sort of toy, this playful patterns design activity toy, this comes in so many iterations. In fact, we have a very similar one that was just given to us where it's the cards, and the child then has these shapes to match on the cards, and so they just choose the shapes that they need to. And some of the cards are very specific with the shape and the color for them to match, and then some of the cards are very vague and allow you to create your own, to fill in the blanks kind of with your own choice of the colors and shapes. So this is a great way to teach shapes and design patterns, all of those sorts of things. This is a great way to do that in a fun way, kind of like a game. So those are things that I will have available for him. And then also, this is his beginner's Bible that we will be starting through. I will probably not wait until this school year. I will probably just start reading through this in the evenings with him. I'm not 100% sure the timing that would be best. My husband does a lot of the reading in the evenings, and so I'm not sure if he has a few other books that he's reading with the boys, and so I'm not sure if this is something that he will want to do in the evenings, or if it's something that I will do maybe before he even gets home in the evening times. So this is another thing that we will be using for his preschool year. And last but definitely not least, I'm going to share with you some of our current read alouds that are favorites for him for right now. So a couple of the favorites right now are Only You Can Be You. This is written by Nathan and Sally Clarkson. This is a beautiful and wonderful book. This is a somewhat new to us book. Then we also have the old classic, the Berenstain Bears Old Hat, New Hat, that Judah can pretty much quote at this point. And then I have a couple of these Montessori letter work, and then I also have a number work book. And so we just go through these. Yes, he just sometimes chooses this as his nap time read. And we go through and make the sound G, and then draw with our fingers and talk about the picture that goes with the sound. So that is another favorite these days. Of course, the classic Little Blue Truck. This is a library book that we've gotten recently, so Leads the Way. Little Blue Truck Leads the Way. That's been a super fun favorite recently. And then The Little Engine That Could. He really has enjoyed this classic, so this is another favorite. Just recently, I found this Margaret Weiss Brown, The Big Red Barn, and that's a really fun read. And then his absolute favorite these days is this 1960s book that I found someone was just getting rid of, and I thought, oh, that looks like a fun book, so I pulled it off, and it's Jew's absolute favorite these days. It's called The Little Tiny Rooster, and it's written by Will and Nicholas. And this is just a wonderful story of a little rooster, and just his story of what happens when he chose not to accept other people's opinion of him being small and him being too small for whatever job they had. So, spoiler alert, the little tiny rooster does save the day, which is amazing. So those are some of our favorites for read alouds, and we will just continue to read and read and read and enjoy those stories together and that time of connecting. One of the main parts of Jew's preschool will be play, and just play is so important for kids, especially as young, 4 years old. So important for them to imagine and to create and to play. It really is the work of childhood, is the play. And so it's really important to allow lots and lots and lots of time to do that. So that's how we're living our preschool year this coming year. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have any suggestions or ideas on things that you have loved to teach your preschooler, or maybe some resources that you found that you are really excited about for your preschooler this coming year, then definitely leave me a comment below and let me know what things you're excited about for your preschooler. I did print out the free book list that the Peaceful Press has for preschooler read alouds, and so we will definitely be including those books in our preschool read alouds this coming year. Well, thank you so much for watching today and being here. I hope you have a wonderful week homeschooling, and I will see you again in next week's video.